Hi. Hi, how are you? Oh, this is an awkward way to start. I don't know what my impulse was there. I was trying to be. I don't know. I just had the impulse to go, "Hi, how are you doing well? How you doing? You doing good? How you doing?" Nerdy Virgin Podcast. My name is Joshua Snyder. This is Monday, January, what is it? 5th, 2026. And how am I doing? Well, hanging in there, hanging in there. Dad was visiting over the holidays and, trying to be there for him, trying to be present for him. We're still, both of us are still dealing with mom passing away. It's been, 22, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 3 years now. 3 years. And, I think we're both still grieving in our own ways. My dad is, I think, pretty open about how he feels, and I find I go in and out. The grief comes and goes. It hits at certain times, and then it kind of recedes into the background, and then kind of comes back, and comes and goes, kind of like a Bob Newhart series. He have a series, it'd be really great. He'd leave for a while. He'd have another series, it'd be great. He'd leave. Then he had another series, and it would be great, and he would leave. Like that, except not. I don't think the grief is, as great as the Bob Newhart series were. That's as sad as the grief is now. This is a terrible comparison, utterly terrible. But it's what came to my mind, and I'm trying to take the first thing, as Sanford Meisner would say, just take the first thing. And then, of course, there's the part where Sanford Meisner says, and then leave the first thing, and then go on to a second better thing, please, for all of us. I mentioned this was supposed to be a comedy podcast. At any rate, just trying to be present with my, and it's funny, he comes to visit, he's here for 7 days, and I don't know why, but it takes day 5 or 6 where I'm like, oh wait, I don't need to try to fix anything with him. That's not my job. I just need to be present, be in the room, listening to what he's saying, breathing, and I just need to keep reminding myself that is so much more powerful. I remember a teacher said that the compassion is neither sympathy nor empathy, it is merely presence. And I think that there's, so few people are present with other people in this day and age, that like true presence is a gift. It really is a gift. In fact, in terms of how the economy is working right now, whereas before I was buying people gifts, could I just maybe be present with them for like a minute? Could that count? Instead of a gift card, could I just 10 seconds of eye contact in exchange in place of a gift card? I think that would help all of us out. Or, when I ask, how are you doing? I'll give you 1 minute to be totally honest, and for me to not mock you, and for me to listen to what you're saying, and just nod and go, wow, I hear you, man. Like, just, can we do that instead of any monetary gifts? That would really help me in this crazy economy. So, okay, good. We're covering that. What else is going on in my life? I'm headlining a place on the 10th up in Northern California. And I should know the more specifics than that. I think I'm headlining the place on the 10th. They said to fill out a form, and I filled out the form, and haven't heard anything. So hopefully all is well, I think, right? I should check in on that. So that's happening, and then I'm doing my show at Flappers on the 18th of January at 5 p.m. At a Trek-heavy comedy show, a nerd-themed comedy show that we call Control Alt Delight. There you go. And by then, probably I'll have a take on the new Starfleet Academy series, which I believe is dropping soon. I think this week, right? A lot of people are, a lot of negativity aimed towards this thing. And like, just, wait, give it a chance. Give it a chance. Give it a chance. Give it a chance. I think the biggest thing I need to talk to you about. So I didn't realize this, but I never really watched all of X-Men First Class. Which is 15 years old, by the way. Already 15 years old. And I can't even remember, I was watching it with, I don't even remember who I was watching it with or where it was or what have you. But I think like a roommate was watching it, and I think I watched like the last half of it. But I said to myself, okay, that I may as well have watched the whole thing. And I didn't realize, I sat down and I watched the whole thing last night, finally, and I didn't realize how much of it I had not watched. And X-Men First Class. Well, and by the way, I know it's only taken me 15 years to get to this, but this was the X-Men prequel idea. We're gonna recast everybody. It's gonna be like a prequel, soft reboot kind of a thing, and everyone's gonna be younger, and contracts are gonna be cheaper. That was probably also one of the motivating factors. Yeah, we can get that guy for a fraction of what that other guy was, and that was kind of where they went with it. And it some things I was noticing about it. I'll tell you something. They went with the classic uniforms. That was nice. They had avoided that for a long time in the comic book movies, especially the X-Men movies, but they finally started to embrace it, and they had the classic yellow and blue uniforms that I think was in the first incarnation of the X-Men comics, and that I'm happy about that. I felt good about that. They tried to justify it. We bought it. We felt good about it. Onward and upward. Here's the weird thing about that movie, though. I felt like they were like trying to make the pace so fast all the time that the scenes were like really, really short, and the music, the score, which is a good score, Henry Jackman, but the score never seemed to stop. Like it almost felt like we're going to the next scene. Are we going to do this? Yeah, we're going to do this. And like they moved to the scene after, and it's before the composer can get a chance to like wrap up the score and go on to the next score. So the score is almost like, I feel like the score was panting a little bit. We're going to do this? Yeah. No, that's a romantic thing. Yeah. Are we going to do this? Yeah, we're definitely going to do this. Are they doing this? They're doing this. I think we're going to do this, right? No, we're totally going to do this. That's the comic relief part. But it was just like it had like this breakneck pace to it that I don't know. I just noticed it. It was neither good nor bad, but I guess if you notice it, it's bad. I don't know. Magneto. We got Magneto. He's mad. He's been through the ringer. Can I tell you something? There was a moment where I got emotional with X-Men First Class. Going back to there's the moment where he's trying to move the satellite dish. Magneto is trying to move the satellite dish, and Professor X like keys in, uses his telepathy, always going like this with the telepathy, always going like that, so that we know that he's being telepathic. I don't think you have to push this part of the brain for the telepathic thing to work. I don't. But he keys into a happy memory of Magneto and his mother, and I started to cry. It touched me, and I guess Magneto got into more than, Professor X got into more than just Magneto's brain on that rendering right there. But it got me, and I guess I hate when people kind of dismiss comic book movies as, oh, it's childish, or oh, it's not very realistic. But if you look at it as a metaphor, where he's trying to tell Magneto, hey, you can't just get through life with the anger. There's the other stuff too, and the other stuff actually makes you more powerful. And that's kind of a metaphor for all of us. I think that the joy, pain, sadness. I need to embrace those a bit more. I'm very hesitant when it comes to joy. I don't buy it. I don't trust it. I keep joy at arm's length because it's fleeting. And my thought is, well, if I get too used to this, it's sooner or later something's going to rip it apart, and then I'm going to be back down to the depression and sadness. So I just Joy and I, like, we're just friends. Like, do I want us to be lovers? Sure, but we keep separate apartments, Joy and I, opposite side of town. 1 or 2 days a week, maybe. But I think the point of this movie is that I can't just rely on my anger and paranoia alone to get me through the day, which is a shame because it feels so much better when I've got the anger and the paranoia getting me through the day. I mean, it doesn't, but it kind of does. It's just, that armor, just that, come on, what next? What next? There's a weird comfort in the armor of anger and paranoia. Dare I say, an addiction. So that was an interesting revelation right there. I don't know. I mean, for a moment there, I was going to tell you that I was a little self-conscious, admitting that I was crying at X-Men First Class, but then I thought to myself, why am I self-conscious? Why? This is the thing. I'm tired of being ashamed of myself. I'm tired of apologizing for how I feel, and I'm tired of the fact that there's some part of me that's still worried about looking cool. Like it's this holdover from high school where I was really concerned about trying to look cool. I've never been cool. I've never looked cool. The closest I've come to ever being cool is when I genuinely don't care, and then people talk to me. So that's where I need to get to in my life, all right? That is where I need to get to in my life. Guys, the original X-Men comics, which I did not read, but I was reading the Wikipedia article about, it was Cyclops, it was Angel, it was Jean Grey, or Marvel Girl, as she was called at the time. And I think 1 or 2 other people in Professor X. And I will tell you right now, if we're going to call it X-Men First Class, I kind of wanted the original X-Men from the comics to be there. I was missing Cyclops. Here's what I learned when I was watching X-Men First Class. I like Cyclops more than I realized. I missed Cyclops. There's something appealing to me about a leadership character who can only do one very specific thing that seems like it's only useful maybe 18% of the time if you think about any given heroic combat situation. He can shoot the lasers out of his eyes. That's good for, blowing things up, pushing things away. But can you defuse the bomb? I mean, I can blow it up. That would not defuse it. It's a very, very specific power that he's got. It would be like having the superpower where, like, I can only control cans of tomato soup. For some reason, I have a power over all cans of tomato soup. I can make them do anything, or I can move them anywhere. I can cook them in the can without, just with the power of my mind. Only tomato. And how do you defeat me? You lock me in a room full of chicken soup, and it's over. It's over. So I'm missing that. Other characters, Banshee. Yeah, he shoots sonic, echo sonic things, and he's able to use that to then glide. And there was a scene where he's gliding and he's shooting a sonic thing and he's holding Havoc, and we're meant to believe that's okay with the physics of flight. The other thing, I'm very, very neurotic when it comes to the physics of flight in some of these things. Yes, I know it's magic, but there were too many times where in real life Banshee would have immediately fallen to the ground, and that just, I don't know, that irritates me. I mean, I feel like just one, Just, he needed a few extra screams. A few extra screams, and I would have bought that he could stay in the air. A few extra screams. That's all I'm asking. Got Banshee. That was fun. We've got Sebastian Shaw. He was the bad guy. Kevin Bacon. Always a good time. Always a good time. Kevin Bacon's always fun. Always fun. And with every Kevin, and as we know, with every Kevin Bacon movie, the game 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon becomes a little bit easier. His power was he can absorb energy and then kind of push it back out, which is fine. I don't know. It's fine. It's not as, it's no Cyclops, but it's all right. This is one of the. It's what Listen, some of these villains, you can take him or leave him, and it's nothing. This is no shade on Kevin Bacon, but they're just, some of them are just not as fun. Doc Ock is more fun. There's something about a guy with robotic arms who's kind of an octopus, but kind of not. That I don't know. That works. That works a little bit better. Sebastian Shaw, he can absorb nuclear energy. I mean, that's definitely impressive, but it's just not. No one's dressing up as Sebastian Shaw for Halloween. Sorry. I called it out. So we got him. He was fun. Emma Frost, they had fun with her. She could turn into a diamond lady, and she was telepathic. That was that's one of the things sometimes I feel like in the X-Men movies, people sometimes will have two powers that seem to make absolutely no sense. She's telepathic, and she can turn into a diamond. It's out of two things. It's like, he can fly, and he can make soup. He can just will soup into being, and he can fly. He knows all the martial arts. And he's great with Excel. Like, those are the two. Everything, can't do anything else. He has super strength. And snakes are comfortable around him. Like, it's these weird, hybrid things that are kind of fun. That one's fun. I enjoyed that. I feel good about that. Who else? Who else in the movie? Well, they've got Mystique, right? Mystique, who is the shapeshifter. Who I feel like in X-Men First Class, they didn't really. I don't feel like her character. It was Jennifer Lawrence who played her, and Jennifer Lawrence did a great job, but they didn't do much with the character. There wasn't, there was one pivotal moment where two pivotal moments where she turned into someone else, and it helped everybody. But other than that, she was just kind of flirting with everybody the whole time, which is fine. But I feel like isn't there? I think there's more to Mystique than this. Dare I say it? It's one of those moments where I'm like, too many men were writing this, not enough female perspective, maybe. Dare I say? I can't remember. I don't know who wrote the screenplay. Maybe, I think it was guys. It feels like guys wrote the screenplay on this one. Sorry. I've written stories myself. I know they've probably skewed too male as well. For that, I apologize. But it felt a little like, okay, can we do more with this person, please? I think they did more with her in some of the later movies. But you got Mystique, you got Beast, who's Nicholas Hoult, who's now Lex Luthor. And he was Beast is as far as the X-Men goes. Again, it's that same thing. He's a giant beast, but he's also really smart. He can hang from a tree, but he also knows all the physics, which is fine. But it's one of those where I almost like the actors who played them and what they did with them more than the character itself. Like, can you make a Beast movie? I think it's called An American Werewolf in Paris. Can Beast stand on his own as a character? I don't know. Just occasionally, like whenever you have these teams, there's always 2 or 3 characters that stand out. And Wolverine, you can make 10 movies about Wolverine. There's something about Wolverine that's nice. But then you've got these other characters over there, like the drapery. What's your power? Oh, he controls draperies. Yeah. Okay, we'll give him a couple lines, and then we'll just kind of keep him in the background. I'm not sure how that even helps with anything really. But I feel good about this. I feel like we've gotten to the point where I think I want to wrap this up. I don't want to overstay my welcome on these podcasts. This feels good. Maybe we'll, come see me, follow me on all the Instagrams and the TikToks, whatever, Nerdy Virgin sketches every day, and have a lovely day.
I've got to stop Catwoman. She's not that bad. She's a criminal.
Breaking and entering's a crime, right?
That's right.
So aren't you also a criminal?
She steals.
Yeah, and then she uses the money to donate to animal shelters. Frankly, she's way better than most of the heroes in this town.
A crime is a crime.
You break through skylights. Your car hits all the other cars on the street. Do you understand how much you've cost people in this town over the years?
It's in the name of justice.
I think she'd be more popular if she had a cool car.
There's more to me than my car.
You about to say you have a plane?
No. A boat.
Of all of your vehicles, the boat is the least,
What's wrong with my boat?
It's hard to look cool riding in on a boat.
Boats are incredibly cool.
It's just there's that awkward moment where you have to bring it into the dock and then you got to step on it on the dock without falling over. Nobody looks good.
That's why I launched myself out of the boat and then let the boat just kind of crash into the dock.
Which is a crime.
Transition.
Try to use my telepathy to reach Magneto. Do you have to always put your fingers on your head like that? I'm trying to concentrate here, do you mind? Just don't see what putting your fingers on your head has to do with telepathy. It helped me concentrate. I don't think Emma Frost needs to do that. Well, we can't all be Emma Frost, now can we? What if, you break both of your arms and you still have to do the telepathy? What are you going to do then? I seriously need you to stop talking so that I can focus on doing this. You'd probably have to get somebody else to put their fingers on your head so that you could still look kind of cool like that. You know what? I can't do this. I can't do this with you in the room.
Transition.
The Borg have assimilated half the ship. Yeah, including my quarters. Where am I going to sleep? We have bigger problems right now. They're going to put me with a roommate. You know how hard I worked to get out of having a roommate, and they're putting me with a roommate now? Can we please focus on, not being destroyed by the Borg, please? Wait, I've got a better idea. The Borg won't bother you if you're not actively trying to do anything to them. I bet I could just go into my room and they wouldn't do anything. You can afford to have a roommate for 1 or 2 nights while we deal with this, man. Not to mention the fact that they tend to like things warmer, as so do I. It's always too cold on this ship. You're beginning to sound like you've been assimilated. They tried to assimilate me, but then they just stopped and said, you're not gonna help us.
Transition.
You notice how those new torpedo launchers on Deep Space Nine swivel? Cool, right? It can fire in multiple directions. I don't like that swivel. I knew this was gonna go south fast. First of all, the torpedo has guidance systems, so you can shoot it in one direction, but then it'll be able to follow multiple targets. It's the 24th century, for goodness sakes. Well, but we can help the torpedoes. Torpedoes don't need help. You're talking like their grandmothers crossing the street. What's the problem with the swivel? Oh, everything's fine until it breaks and then it can't swivel, or it breaks and it points right at the hull. They don't break anymore. You have too much faith in the swivel. We puncture this tube in engineering, a bunch of gas will flow out and it will destroy all the biological elements of the Borg. Won't that also melt us? Don't worry, it's a special kind of gas that only raises about 3 or 4 feet in the air, but doesn't go any farther. That seems like not a real thing. It's totally a real thing. What? Of course. Okay, even if that were a real thing and it's still up to here, wouldn't that just melt off our legs? Climb a ladder. There's 12 of us and only 1 ladder in engineering. Climb quickly. I feel like Mr. Data's the only one that's going to kind of be okay with this.
Transition.
We have to evacuate these people from this Bajoran moon so we can strip mine everything. Yeah, about destroying an entire forest moon's ecosystem. Isn't there a better way to do this? Not by Wednesday. Also, I think we could ask the Federation for maybe some help. I think they're good with harnessing energy without causing too many problems. No, don't ask them. Then we're going to have to owe them something. They seem pretty generous when it comes to this kind of stuff. It'll be one other group of people that we have to invite to the holiday party. I'm a little concerned about your priorities over here. Listen, as forest moons go, it's not that great. there's a lot of kale. Did you say kale? Oh yeah, let's strip mine the thing.
Transition.
I've fallen in love with a red shirt. It's a phase, you'll be fine. Just, it's not gonna last long. Don't say that, all right? Don't say that. I mean, there's always this romance around the red shirts. I get it, I understand. Life is finite. It's romantic. The biggest fires are the ones that burn fast, or some quote like that. Maybe I can get her to transfer to blue. Make her go blue shirt? That's never gonna happen. Well, why not? Red shirts are too feisty. Blue shirts are too intellectual and methodical. Is there something wrong with the blue shirts? I love the blue shirts. Instead of jumping in where angels fear to tread, they sit back, they analyze, and they go, oh, what we could do is realign the harmonics of the structural integrity field, and they're not the ones who are, blown up.
Transition.
Wow, so you're a doctor, huh? Yeah, I just do what I can, So that means you must have the ability to give people MRIs and stuff. Oh, sure. I prescribe a lot of tests for people, depending on what they need. Like, I'll bet if you wanted to right now, you could give me a free MRI. You're not just dating me because you're trying to get a free MRI, are you? No, not at all. But it must be really cool to have, the keys to the whole hospital building, every single room, every room, right?
Transition.
What did Aquaman say to the dolphin? I don't know. I think he mentioned something about Puccini. All right, why would that upset a dolphin? Apparently, dolphins are very, very big into classical music, and now all of the dolphins are upset with Aquaman. Well, was it pro-Puccini or anti-Puccini? I don't know. There wasn't a stenographer down there in the Mariana Trench when the two of them were having the conversation. All right, calm down. I mean, one thing I'll say about all dolphins, they're pretty reasonable. This is serious. I mean, all the dolphins are against him, and some of the narwhals. Is that how you say it, narwhals, or is it narwhal? I think it's narwhal. Well, what are the humpback whales saying? Remaining neutral, as per usual.
Transition.
The Klingon High Council won't return my calls. They're in the middle of one of their honor conundrums. What's that? Oh, every year they get together and they have to decide what thing is more honorable than the other thing. And right now there's a big to-do over what's more honorable. Violet or purple? Wait, the colors? They're fighting over the colors? Well, you'd think purple. But then again, violet. See, that's actually tough because violet, you'd think easier to see in the dark. So much more honorable to not be stealthy, much riskier if fighting an enemy while wearing violet. And yet purple has a certain gravitas that feels quite honorable. Why can't they just say that both are honorable? You don't want too many things being equally honorable. If that happens, you get nothing done. I didn't know they had all that red tape. First of all, it's violet tape.
Transition.
Should we invite Green Arrow? It's close quarters combat. He can do close quarters combat. He can, but he low-key complains about it. But he's very capable as a fighter. He's got to do the thing where he uses the bow as kind of a melee weapon, and he's afraid of breaking it. So he gets another bow. Just if we ask him and we tell him it's close quarters, he'll do it, but I'm telling you, it'll be annoying. Green Arrow, can we have you come in on this? It's going to be close quarters combat. Close quarters combat? Great. No problem. It's fine. I mean, best place to utilize me would be, long distance, sharpshooter kind of thing. But sure, close, whatever you need. Batman not available? Okay, you're right. You never get between a guy and his bow.
Transition.
They assigned me to the Enterprise E. Why aren't you excited? That's awesome. It was just assimilated by the Borg. It's creepy in there. Yet they took all that stuff out, though. It's fine. They never get all of it out completely. What are you afraid of? You're just going to be lying on your bed and you turn over and you hit something and suddenly it happens to be a piece of thing that assimilates you? Yes, I'm worried about that now, in addition to all of the other places, the nooks and crannies where something could leap out at me, yes. Well, they can't just rebuild the entire ship. I think they can and should, actually. It's a very insidious kind of... They have nanoprobes that can assimilate you. Nanoprobes! You're sure they cleaned every single nanoprobe? Really?
Transition.
So the Legion of Doom is not very happy with Cheetah. What's wrong with Cheetah? She's a highly capable supervillain. They're mad that she's walking around naked. The fur covers everything. Not quite everything. But this is the Legion of Doom. You'd think they'd be excited about this. But they want a family-friendly environment. Since when does the Legion of Doom care about a family-friendly environment? It's for the investors. Sometimes the corporations like to, come along and they bring their kid, take your daughter to work day, that sort of thing. Well, what's the resolve on this? Cheetah's got to wear pants. And Gorilla Grodd doesn't have to wear pants? That's not very fair. Oh, I know. This whole thing is about to blow up.
Nerdyvirgin.com